Happy Wednesday, everybody, or I guess happy Friday by the time you are seeing this. Today is my day to work on my book, and according to my calendar that I set up for myself at the beginning of this year, today is the day I'm actually going to finish the whole reverse engineering the plot in my notebook, and next week is when I print out the scary NaNoWriMo draft and do some editing and rearranging and try to come up with a rough outline so that I can start drafting in March. And you know what? I think I'm pretty close to ready to do that. I won't lie and say I have worked in my notebook every single day since last week, but more days than not, I spend at least a little bit of time in it. I've thought through quite a lot. And I think what I actually need to do today, I think I'm at the point where I've done everything in my notebook that I kind of needed to do. I thought through everything. I know how the book ends. I know who did what and why they did what they did and what the repercussions are. And that's what a mystery is, right? So I think what I actually need to do today is a lot of what I wrote in here was thinking through my thoughts. There's a lot of maybes. This happened. No, this is a better idea, you know, like thinking through it. And now what I think I need to do is to take all this new info, and I guess I could open Scrivener and transcribe it all in there and whittle it down to what I decided on, like come up with a plan. Here is a blunt synopsis from kind of like not the protagonist's point of view of objectively what is happening in this mystery. I think that's my goal for today, for this book. And I don't know, yeah. I'm actually feeling like I'm in a pretty good place with this right now, but we'll have to see how this goes. All right, a couple minutes left in this sprint and I'm making some tea. I finished importing everything from my notebook into Scrivener. I think it's like around 1,500 words and it feels good. I know what's going on, but I definitely know what my next step needs to be, and that is that I need a timeline. There, specifically with the backstory leading up to the beginning of the book. In particular, there are like 4 characters and their ages, and with 2 in particular, when they were born and how old they are exactly at the start of the book is actually very relevant to all of this backstory I'm working out. So that's going to be the next step. Okay, so the sprints are over, it's noon, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad I decided to make this timeline because I'm not anywhere near done yet. There's still a lot of points I need to hit, but there was a lot of stuff I was just kind of trying to hold in my head and be really vague about with 2 particular characters and their past, and these 2 characters are both in the present day of the story. They're in their 50s. So I'm looking back at like 5 decades of things that happened, and I was just kind of like generalizing it in my head. This would have been around then, this would have been around then, but I wasn't doing a very good job, it turns out, because once I started writing out years and saying, well, this would have happened in this year, this would have happened in this year, I started to see some things that didn't work the way I thought they would, and I started to see connections that I never would have made or didn't make, or I never would have made without making a timeline, that are huge and really help the story a ton. So just to give one example, I talked about how there's a person who dies before the start of the book, so this is not any kind of spoiler. She actually dies 7 years prior to the start of the book. And there is one particular character who in my head was involved in some way or knows something about, I'm gonna be vague, about this character's death. And in my head, she was just kind of a young woman then. But doing the math, turns out she was a child. She was like barely a teenager, which changes things in a lot of ways. It changes things for her and her arc and just like her mental headspace and how she handled it, but also it changes things from a legal perspective and just things like that. Like, oh, okay, this doesn't work, get rid of it, and oh my gosh, look at this connection. This is something I can pull at and bring out, and it really, you know, makes the story just make a lot more sense. I don't know, I'm real happy I continued this, or I started this timeline thing, and I'm gonna continue working on it later this afternoon after I take the pup out for a walk. Making that timeline was the best decision I could have possibly made. I can't even, it's hard for me to believe how many issues that just fixed. I made so many connections. I have a new kind of creepy background villain that was there, I think, waiting for me to discover what he was up to. The backstory, all just like taking, I've talked before about how this is a fairly large cast of characters and it's multi-POV, and I'm getting into all of their heads and all of their backstories, and just literally just listing the years, starting from, I chose 2025 as the present day, and just moving backwards and writing all, just year by year, going down and writing in, here's what happened to this character, then here's where this happened to this character, made me see so many things that I hadn't realized were there, and made me see so many flaws, like things that were impossible that I had included in my NaNoWriMo draft, but all of them were things that weren't sitting right with me to begin with. Like, for example, I had this one character was dealing with a specific legal issue that I didn't really want to research. I was just kind of bored by it, but it felt necessary. And then I realized that issue is not an issue at all. And in fact, there was a much better, oh gosh, I'm being vague again, but something else was going on that makes a lot more sense and is a lot less technical. That is what she's actually going through. I don't know. All the stuff just clicked. It's like, I feel like I threw out a lot of things that I wasn't excited about, or I liked, but I couldn't figure out exactly how it fit. And I was just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that when I got to get into rewriting the draft, I would figure it out. Nope, I could just get rid of it. And then, yeah, all these other connections, oh my gosh. That was just the best thing that I could have done. I feel so ready now to really get into this, and I don't know, maybe I won't even wait till next Wednesday to print out the manuscript and, you know, get started kind of like rearranging. I kind of feel like I want to get started tomorrow, so we'll see what happens next. But yeah, I'm excited. All right, let me know how your writing is going. If you wrote a book for NaNoWriMo, where is it at now? Have you looked at it? Have you dared? And how are all your other projects going? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week with another video. Bye.